It was a sunny day in September when the Smith family decided to rent a new house in the remote countryside. After months of searching, they find a beautiful house located in the middle of a picturesque forest. The house was a little old, but they fell in love with its charm and tranquility. John Smith, husband and father, was an architect and was always busy with his projects. He had a wonderful wife named Sarah and a very young daughter named Lena. Things were going well in their family life, but they decided they needed a change. At the time they decided to move into their new home, the family was excited about a fresh start. The house had a large back garden surrounded by trees and an expansive field of wildflowers. The forest, adjacent to the house, extends over vast areas, giving them tranquility and natural beauty. As soon as they arrived home, the father, John, felt something strange coming over him. There was a feeling of exhilaration and joy at the new beginning, but it was accompanied by a strange feeling that there was something abnormal going on in this place. Ignoring this feeling and not distorting the family's joy of a new beginning, they decided to enjoy the new home and the new beginning. The first nights after renting the house, the Smiths were preparing for their first night's experience in the new house. But Lena, the little girl, did not have a peaceful night. She was having terrifying nightmares brought upon her by the old doll her father discovered in the garden. On the first nights, Lena told her parents about seeing young children playing in the garden behind the house. She described them as smiling and playing happily with the doll she had found. But she always felt like they were looking at her with angry, terrifying eyes. These nightmares began to affect Lena's sleep and psychological state. She would wake up late at night, her forehead wet with sweat, looking exhausted and terrified. She started screaming at night, and her parents woke up in shock and unable to calm her down. The following nights, the same terrifying dreams repeated themselves. Lena began to suffer from significant sleep loss, and her conditions were getting worse. She started talking and playing with her friends, and always had a look of fear on her face. Her parents could not find a logical explanation for the terrifying nightmares their daughter was experiencing. They weren't sure if these dreams were just passing nightmares or if there was something more serious going on in the new house. One day, while John was digging the garden to plant some flowers, he discovered something strange under the soil. There was a piece of cloth covered in mud and dirt. When gently pulling it out, he discovered that it was an old, dirty doll that looked like a small child's doll. John looked at that doll and noticed that it looked very similar to the children Lena had seen in her terrifying nightmares. He began to have doubts about this doll and its role in the strange events occurring in the house. John decided to bring the doll home and ask his daughter about it. When he showed her the doll, Lena gasped and screamed violently. She asked her parents to get rid of her and never let her see her again. Lena began to feel anxious and afraid of the house in general. She started avoiding the backyard and avoiding playing in it. She started telling her parents that she felt there was something strange in the house and that the doll was watching her through its glass eyes. They had no logical explanation for Lena's behavior and the strange phenomena in the house, but they became more eager to protect their daughter and understand what was happening in the new house. There was something wrong with the Smith family's new home, and the mystery was slowly growing. The events became more bizarre with each passing day. The terrifying nightmares that Lena suffered from increased and became more complex and realistic. One dark and cold night, Lena decided to play with an old doll in the backyard. She didn't want to be alone in facing this uncertainty, so she invited her friends to join her. There were 5 children in the park, all of them excited to play together on the cold night. The old doll was the subject of the game, and the children began passing it between their hands and scratching the old cloth. There was no clue that this game would take a strange turn. Suddenly, As they were holding the doll in their hands, the ground under their feet began to tremble vigorously. They felt a strong tremor and succumbed to terror. As they were swayed by this tremor, the sky started to change into a strange and mysterious color. The mist spread around them quickly, as if to envelop them in a blanket of mystery. They were unable to see each other or the doll in any direction. They were screaming while losing touch with each other. In the blink of an eye, they all disappeared before the very eyes of their parents, who felt completely helpless. They didn't know exactly what had happened, but they knew that they had entered another world, a dark and terrifying world. When John and his wife opened their eyes again, they find themselves in a strange other world. They were sitting on the shore of a dark sea, but the sea was completely different. There was only dark, deep water that extended endlessly. They felt isolation and dread in this unknown world. The first thing they do is look for Lena and her little friends, but they did not find a trace of them. They strolled along the beach, shouting out the names of their loved ones, hoping someone would hear them. But nothing, but the echo of their voices echoing nowhere. When they start to lose hope and think about how to get back to their real world, they realize that they are trapped in this dark world. There was no place to go back to, and they had no clue how to get out of this tragic situation. They begin to think about the doll's role in all this, and how she might be the reason behind this mysterious transition to this world. They felt the doll held answers and might be the key to returning home. The father, John, decided to go home and look for the doll. His wife, Sarah, walked with him, while Lena, with little hope and concern, remained on the beach. They knew that this task would not be easy, and that they would have to struggle to return to their true world.